Hello, 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 and welcome to another One Lion of Code. I am One Lion. I need to drink water already. Happy Wednesday to all of you. I've gotten in the habit of wishing you the best of days at the start of the stream, so hopefully you are having a fantastic day. And if you aren't, maybe it can get a little bit better just by thinking about it. Right. Save. Okay, welcome to the stream. So, in our last streams, we have gotten up to all good and only good and having lots and lots of fun doing it. And hello, Captain Commerce. It's snowing there in northern Denver? Yup, just like this. We are looking out a window somewhere in. Nope, wrong button. Interact. Burlington, Vermont. No idea when. I wish these had timestamps for when the videos were taken. You can pick weather now? That's cool. Anyway, no idea what time of year that is, but it's in Burlington, Vermont. Or however you want to say it. Maybe Birmingham? I don't know. I didn't fully read it. I can't read. I can't write. I can't even word. We were talking about that on Big Amy stream. So many pings. So many pings. I don't like being parts of groups that I didn't sign up for. And then not being able to leave those groups because of the impression it would make. Anyway, so yeah, we've been doing a lot of stuff with the financial management tracker. We took one more micro step forward in the previous stream, and then we looked at something else. We got sidetracked. We got derailed as per usual. So instead, what we're going to do today is sidetrack and derail right from the start. I need help. For any of you out there that might have the capacity and the bandwidth to help with a situation that I've run into that I cannot figure out. Squirreled. Yeah. Nerd sniped, as Nerd Herder would have called it. Yeah, we were helping Goku Jax with answering his question about authentication and an approach for validating the authentication token when an admin or somebody on the server side of things deactivates a user. So then what's a good approach for making sure that a client-side application, when you're using an API as your backend, a hosted API as your backend, what's a good way to, for page navigation with the authorized attribute, make sure that the user is actually still active and authorized to visit a resource. And so essentially what he's doing is for every API request, validating the token there. And then he has middleware that is essentially checking the token to look up the user to find out whether they're still active or not. And then on the client side, they're still able to navigate around as long as they aren't doing any requests to the API. So it was a pretty hard question to answer. I'm still thinking about it. Really? So a cookie would be an easy answer? Oh, yeah, okay. So you can store the jot in a cookie. It's just how will the client know that the cookie should be deleted or changed? Like you would still need some kind of mechanism for every request on the client to ask the server, hey, am I still an active user? I'm authenticated and I'm authorized for these pages, at least according to the token that I see, and the token is not expired, but I want to know if the user that I'm associated with has been deactivated in the user store, in this case, a SQL Server database. So yeah, the cookie would be great for server-side technologies because those are really easy to manipulate and control. But client-side, when you're trying to just have the client be able to run on its own without needing a server connection all the time, except for when you get data, that's where the issue comes into play. It's like hard to think about. But anyway, that's not what my situation is. Although, one of the things on page change navigation, make a quick call for status. Along the same lines of that, I figured out an approach that I'm going to take for keeping a session active. So right now, it feels very JavaScripty, so I'm kind of ashamed of it, but I also love it because it's really easy. So in this application that has authentication, I had some users that indicated that if you let the application sit there for too long and then you push a button that does an API call, then it fails silently. And the only way that you know that you are logged out is if you refresh the page, it'll take you to the authentication screen. So there are two steps that I'm doing now, which is first in app.razor, which is the launch point for the main Blazor portion of the app. I listen for an authentication state changed, and then on authentication state changed and on renders, I check to see, oh, and I guess I only need to do that once. Oh, yeah. Okay, I check to see on every render, have we already set up the, actually not even that, check to see if the user is currently authenticated, and if they are, or if they are not, then don't worry about trying to keep their session alive. Otherwise, then try to keep their session alive. And the reason that it feels JavaScripty is because it's kind of like a timeout type thing, where I have a timer that will run, and it's every 5 minutes on the server or in production, and it'll just do a really quick request. And so again, regardless of whether you're running this in Blazor WebAssembly or Blazor Server, it's going to do a request to the service here, and I called it auth helper service. And that is implemented if you're running on the client by doing a HTTP request to API auth keep alive, and then a time ticks stamp so that it never caches this. It always does it as a new request, which eventually goes to the server side, which I have a helper that lets me get the HTTP context, because I don't expect this app to be running in a way that we don't have a HTTP context when we reach this, because it's either going to be a HTTP request or it's going to be on the server calling this directly. And it's, yeah, on the server. So anyway, we have the context, and through that context, I am able to get the user. And then I just check to see on the server, is user authenticated and are they authorized? And then I just return true or false. So if user is null, then return false. If user is not authenticated, then return false. And if user is not in one of the approved roles, then return false. And so that would kind of be a similar type of approach that Goku Jax could use for checking to see is user active. So instead of a keep alive, it's is user active. So anyway, by doing that request, then the server stays alive. So the main issue with the apps at the Rocky Mountain Arsenal are that there aren't that many users. So for this app in particular, there's maybe 2 users using it at the same time, and then a stretch of 20, 25 minutes, or however long the normal API IIS server spin down time is, the server has enough time to spin down to stop the app until someone starts using it again. So what this does is it makes sure that when the application is open in someone's browser and that person is authenticated, so let's say they keep it open over the weekend. After 25 hours, I think it is, their JOT expires. And so at that point in time, when it does the request to the API endpoint, it sees that the authentication token is expired, and then it'll do a force redirect to login. So then that browser will go to the login page, it'll sit there, and then eventually the server will spin down again because no one is using it. But here, as long as they are in the app and they have authenticated and they have a valid JOT that's not expired, then the app gets to stay alive on the server. And that's what I think was causing them to get logged out so often from disinactivity. Anyway, so that's solved. I guess I said that it was twofold. The second thing is that I have this force redirect to login, which just uses the same redirect to login component that you get when you scaffold a new Blazor WASM app with hosted backend and authentication. And all that does is it set on initialize, it checks to see which Blazor flavor we're running on. Are we running server only or are we running WASM? And then it navigates to that login page. So super easy, super simple. This could be written better, but this seems pretty readable. The way that I'm I'm looking at it now and I'm like, why didn't I just do it like this? This is the way I normally do it. Just an inline if that checks to see are we running server side only. If so, then use this. Otherwise, use this URL. And thank you so much for the follow, Vasto Coder. Welcome into the daily code to the one line of code stream, whatever this is called now. So we're looking at, I guess I should say this first. I am One Lion. I'm a .NET developer. I've been doing .NET for quite a while now, maybe 9 years as official .NET development, but have been programming since 2000 and then playing around with programming since before then. But anyway, so we have been working on a project on the stream called the Financial Management Tracker, and you can see it in GitHub. I have it open source and unlocked and just out there for anyone to see, use concepts from, critique, give ideas, give feedback, whatever. And we're doing it as I need to stop saying we're doing it as a stream project because I used to be able to stream my day job. Then I got a new job and I wasn't able to stream my day job, but I still wanted to do Blazor web development or Blazor development in general, full stack, and show all of the principles that I would be using had this been a product that I was going to deliver to a client, for example. And I've had to stream a lot less because I have a different job, as I mentioned, that I am not able to stream that code for, but that also means that I am needing to fulfill my 8 hours a day for that job, as well as anything extra that I want to do. And in this case, it's streaming 2 hours a day every other day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So today, though, today I would like to look at this issue for anyone, as I mentioned at the top of the stream, that has the bandwidth to look at this with me. If you don't, there is no obligation, no worries, no nothing. So this is from my previous job, and I'm helping them out today. There is an issue with this app where Let me close this for now. Okay. Where when they... Ooh, they added new records. They tested adding new records today. Like, this wasn't there this morning. That's so nice that they're using it. Anyway, if you go into a record and you click edit, and then you make a change, so this number here would normally automatically calculate based off of the previous records that it finds for this well. Oops. Anyway, it's supposed to calculate correctly, and I think it does. I don't know why it turned to 0, but it's going to calculate the total gallons based off of the previously entered values, unless they click this button. And if they click this button, then they enter the total gallons themselves. And then of course, oh, that's why. That's why. Okay. So let's say we calculate. Why isn't it changing my total minutes? So it's supposed to calculate total minutes between the last measurement or the last meter reading and this current meter reading. So I don't know what's going on there, but we'll figure that out too, or I'll figure that part out later. The thing is, they changed this value here, and if they click save, then it saves and it updates in the data grid. So I kind of want to do that again so that we can see it actually happen, and I'll do it way down here in a record that they won't be playing with right now. So Northwest with well 23 on 6/1/2023, I'm going to change the total gallons to 1,000 or 990, whatever, sure. Then I'm going to hit save. That saves. If I look at the database right now, the values will definitely show this amount. However, if I push edit again, what was happening is that this reverted. It is over 9,000. This value would have reverted to the previous calculated value, and I fixed that. However, the next thing that I'm starting to run into is, so I just refreshed the data by clicking that button. If I change the value and hit cancel, that value stays here. That is a normal thing if you are using the same model as your edit model. So like when you're binding all of those text fields to the model that you pass into the component where you're doing the edit, if that's the same model, any changes you make to any of the values in that model will also change the value in the data grid. So this row here is represented by a model. When I click edit, I'm passing that model to the edit component. But I'm not doing that. The thing that I am doing is when you click on show edit, I'm passing in, again, the model that represents this row, and I am turning it into a comparison tracker. And if you remember, comparison tracker is something that was created by Nick Polideropoulos, sorry. I don't know how to pronounce it, but anyway, Nick the first one, who has been a member of our community for a while. Haven't seen him for a while, but that's fine. So he created this comparison tracker, which is essentially a way for you to take, oh man, Yoshi Boy. Awesome. Thank you so very much for the raid. I hope you had a fantastic stream. If you're getting a commercial, I'll wait for a little bit. And then I'll greet you again. Hopefully you're not getting a commercial. I forgot to disable pre-rolls. So anyway, I'm creating a comparison tracker object and setting that as my edit model. This edit model just finished your ads. All right, well, welcome in. Hope you had a fantastic stream today. What were you working on? How are you doing? Today it's going very well for me. I'm just trying to figure out this quirky issue that is so weird because I've never had it happen when I've done this approach before. And just to show it again real quick, the simple explanation of it is if I edit a record, change a value in that record, and hit cancel, my data grid is showing the new value that was supposed to get rolled back. I was just doing Apex Legends. Gotta get a shower, so I'll be back soon. Take your time. You don't even have to come back if you don't want. I would love to see you come back, but definitely do your post-stream stuff. Thanks so much for the raid, too. Okay, so we know the explanation. We know how I'm getting the data to the edit component. So here's my edit model. I'm setting it to a new comparison tracker of that data. And what the comparison tracker does is it puts the original value in this thing called original. And so this should be, if I modify original, that is going to modify the underlying data object that I'm passing in, the model for that row. If I am trying to change a value, then I would change the value in current, where current is a clone of data. That's weird. I say data when it's by itself like this. Normally I say data for everything, like database, data context, data structures. But this is data. That's really weird to say. It feels weird on my tongue. So anyway, so current gets a clone of the object that we're creating the comparison tracker on. So with that in mind, mom and data, with that in mind, I will show you where we are passing in the edit model, which again is, that's confirm delete, show edit is here, render edit dialog. Oh, right. Render edit dialog will be in the specific grid. So render edit dialog, my edit model that I'm passing into the dialog is that same edit model that I'm creating the comparison tracker on. Comparison tracker. So that's this one. And then we show it. So now let's look in that dialog. On initialize, I check to see, are we being passed an edit model? If not, then it is a new record. So let's create, let's make this model here be a new comparison tracker of a new record, and then apply some changes to that record, patch it, good to go. We will be going into this line here, which is just a couple of output statements, but really it says, for the model that I'm using throughout this form, use the passed in edit model, which is a tracked change model. Cool. Good so far. Still tracking. I'm trying to track this too, so. So we have the comparison tracker model. And then we do base on initialize async, which is just component base on initialize async. Fantastic. Then if we hit cancel, then we roll back the changes on that edit model. Model.reset. Undo changes. That's essentially what that says. And then we notify everyone that show has changed for our two-way binding for the show parameter. And we also notify anyone that's listening to the on cancel event that on cancel happened. And so the thing that's listening to the on cancel event, once again, is data base, data grace bid on cancel. Nope. In in here, for example, handle edit canceled, which is in this data grid base. If edit model is null, that means we were editing a new record, so we don't need to roll back anything. Otherwise, and this is just part of my debug, I'm looking for the model that is populating the data grid, and then I'm just printing it out. I'm saying, here's what that record's values are currently. Here's the edit model's current values. I'm going to reset it again, even though I don't need to reset it again. I could take this out completely and it should have the same effect because I've already reset it once. Yes, Nitro Evil. It's also WPF with Blazor and also Maui, and also, or eventually going to be WinUI 3 project for HoloLens. So the answer is it's all of them. Right now I'm running in Blazor WebAssembly when I'm doing this, but when I need to debug, then I use Blazor Server. Okay, so that's why I'm using console.writeline instead of debug.writeline. But then I started using both debug.writeline and console.writeline. But anyway, point is, the edit model here that has the underlying connection to the data model that drives that row. Hello? Looks like June 1st, number 23. No. Oops. How about if we sort by well first and then date? That'll be better. Then we can find 23. It wasn't 23? I could have sworn it was 23. Oh, preliminary records. I was doing final records, that's why. Six one. Okay, now I'm lost. Well, 23. Oh, great. Why did I have to pick 23? Regardless, anyway, I can pick any one of these. I just didn't want to mess with too many of them. This is all test data, so it doesn't really matter. It's just they're currently also testing. That's why it looked like they made a lot of changes. I was probably in a different... Aha! I was in a different system. Or flow type, I guess. Same system, different flow type. So, if I click edit, then you'll see all of the output that I wanted it to give me. So if I was magical, I could copy and pasta, get rid of this thing. Oops. And then the next thing would be from you to you. Oh, I guess I can go ahead and put this at the end just so it's not angry at me. And if we look at this, then the thing that I'm looking at is the total gallons. So when I edit the record, total gallons is going to stay at 1990. The current version value of that record. So let's grab two more. And these all happen at various steps. Boop. In the process. And I have the step name essentially with it. So we can see that the first things that happen is on initialize, I'm getting an edit object. So edit mode is enabled. So this is the object that's coming in. And then after setting the object to my edit model in the component, it still looks exactly the same. And then on focus set, because I have it automatically choose the focus for this window to put it on the focus element. In this case, it is the well select list. I keep alt tabbing. And then here's a render that happens. I do some stuff, and then after the render stuff that I do, I check it again, and no changes to the object. So this is where it gets fun. I change the value Mao. A render happens. Stop doing that. Push the right buttons. Okay, so another render happens. Before I do anything, the total gallons has already updated because it's bound. So now we have a total gallons of 1. If I click cancel, I'm going to clear this out so we can keep track of it. If I click cancel, then these are the things that currently happen afterwards. I'm going to make this an array of arrays. Comma. Okay, so everything in the second element of this array is going to be what happens, what we see after we click the cancel button. So the cancel button handler reverts the changes. This is what it looks like before we revert the changes, and then row 2 will be what it looks like after. Before we revert the changes, total gallons is 1. After we revert the changes, it goes back to 1990, the original value. But then we get the on cancel callback, which was data grid base, handle cancel, handle edit cancel clicked. So this stuff here. This is where I had the edit model reset, and that's why it showed up twice. But I look for the object in my response, so the thing that is populating the grid. I find it, and since it was found, I serialize it, and notice this is the underlying object. This is not the edit record, this is not the comparison tracker object. This is original from that object. The total gallons is 1. So the underlying object got changed to 1 while I was editing it. And I don't know when, and I'm having a lot of trouble debugging. So does anyone have any ideas? I guess during this whole time I'm printing out current and not original. So maybe we should look at what it looks like if I print out original every time. Instead of current. Excuse me. I told you to select everything. Why isn't that selecting everything? Oh, because this is the only one that says edit model. And then everything else says model. Okay, so oregano. Oregano. Save. Over here. That's found rec. Yeah, I don't think that I have any other console logs. in this other than the found record. Okay, so let's watch what happens to the original value during this entire process. It should stay the same. Okay, so original object has 1990, 1990, 1990, 1990. Change the value. Whoops. Whoa, that was cool. Unintentional, but cool. Okay, anyway, change you to 1990. What happened to my render? Well, poop. Oh, wait. It did render. So we're on render number 13. There's render number 14. So the original object says 1990. It did not change. What about when I click cancel? Original object 1990 the whole time. Wait, except for at the very end. Oh, wait, yeah, because this is the object in the data grid, which is not anything to do with the original object. So the whole time, the original object in the comparison tracker did not change. But when we make it back to the data grid, the value is updated. So it gets set on get data. MO. Get data async. So here is where I am populating this underscore data response with a call to treatment plant service.getData. If we haven't canceled, and we are updating the data grid table. So the reason that I have this flag in here, by the way, is because you can export all of the data. And so I don't want to export just the page that you're looking at. I want to export all of the data. But when I do that, I'm using the exact same method to get the data to be exported. I just don't want to update the current page of data with all of the records, because that could potentially be 100,000 records in a table. No thanks. So that's what this is for. So if we are updating the table data, so we're paging through the data or getting the data by clicking the show data button, then we're setting the current response to the one that we just got back. That's where the table data comes from, that response. So in the actual, let's say, plant flow data grid, we are looping through data response return object. That data response return object is the one that gives us cur datum. And cur datum is the one that we use in handle show add edit clicked. No, thank you. The game is ending his stream already. It's only been 2 hours. Wait, my stream is only 2 hours. Whack, right in the face. Okay, I don't know who this is that he rated though. Kind of looks fun, but I'm gonna lurk on another streamer that I follow. while I interrupt myself and turn the commercials down because I'm not subscribed to that streamer. Okay, other questions. So we know where data grid gets set. We know that the object that gets passed to the method for showing the edit comes from the list of objects that the data grid is using. It's still super loud. Holy cow. I put the volume on like 2%. It's extremely loud. Okay, so then that gets sent here. That model gets turned into a comparison tracker. Yeah. Using the constructor overload where we pass in the object that we want to wrap with this comparison tracker. I think it's decorate, maybe? This is a decorator pattern. But now edit model. Looks too intense for me. Yeah, it's just that like all of the flow types we have, well, yeah, let me say it this way. We have these systems where this circleless system is a special system, and then all of the rest of them use essentially the same items. I have one base way of showing all of the data, and for every single system flow type pairing, I am expecting to have an edit grid provided for that specific type. So now I have that base data grid, and then for each of these, adsorbers, dewatering, and recharge all use the same concrete data grid, the plant flows data grid. And then carbon has its own, operations and maintenance has its own, and I think there's one more. No, there's 3 for the regular ones, and then every single one of the circular ones has its own data grid implementation and way to give me an edit form. And then for each edit form, as many data grid concrete types as there are that many edit components. But they all work exactly the same, which is why they have these base components. So a data grid base component is the same functionality for every single grid, whether you're sorting, paging, clicking on edit, getting new data, or the delete button. It's just that each implementation has a different way of presenting the edit dialog, the confirm delete dialog, and the actual table data. I've accepted the Wasm pill, no more razor pages. Awesome. I mean, you can still use a mix of, like, it makes sense to use razor pages for your authentication if you're not using a three-way handshake, two-way handshake, whatever the off flow is. So like for me, my authentication page, jerk, my debug window is trying to be on top of the logout button. So my login page is server rendered. You can tell that this is just the generic Razor page, CSHTML, ASP.NET Pages, authentication page thing. Ducky. Herkadurka. So, still looking for anyone that might have any suggestions on where I might look. What else I can check to see why my underlying model for a given record is changing when I'm updating a clone of that record. So right now, I'm sure if I looked at the value of found rec from the data response that's populating the table, total gallons would be 1. Actually, maybe we can do that. Is there a way for me to get access to the current response or a way for me to tell the data grid to give me the value? I think the easier thing to do would be to just temporarily have a what is it called? Plant data response of T plant data. Make it nullable so that it's not needed everywhere. The only one that we are currently working on is this plant flow data grid. So let's put it down here temporarily. Okay, so I'm passing in a reference to the data response. I'm going to use the same logic that I'm using in plant database, not data entry, data grid base. No worries. Thank you so much for coming back and being here. Really appreciate you being around. I'm currently working through a issue. My brain is returning HTTP 418. Do you have that in cat HTTP? I only understand cat response codes. My logic for finding the record is this. I'm a teapot. Okay, this is going to be annoying, but I'm going to put it in my render count. This is going to turn into current response. And we need to initialize a T plant data found rec default. Okay, so now every single time that I change a value in the edit form, we should see what the underlying data object is doing. It's going to be really annoying though. Are you rebuilding? Did you already finish rebuilding? There is an error. Cannot convert null on this line. Oh, just model. Just model. Okay, there we go. So now it should be building, refreshing. I'm a little teapot short of a full set. If someone can send me a little teapot, I'd have a full set. Northwest boundary recharge. This one. I did like C#, pretty cool language. Well, I mean, if you were using Oh, Yoshi Boy. Your name is close to the same color as the Z-Mans. The Z-Man. The These man. These E-Man. The Anyway. So I did like C sharp, pretty cool language. What do you work in normally, Yoshi Boy? I forget. Rust? Godot? Learning stuff like ASP might be a fun thing to do once I learn all of the advanced parts. Yeah, ASP.NET to me is a pretty robust ecosystem. It's really, really nice. Okay, here we go. Changing a value. I change total gallons to 1. Yep. As soon as I change, you'd use TypeScript. Okay. Yeah, I've started doing a little bit of TypeScript in whenever I need to make JavaScript interop stuff. I use TypeScript now. I'm not great at it, but I'm starting to understand it a little more, and I really do enjoy doing that versus vanilla JavaScript. The hard part in a C Sharp project was getting the TypeScript to transpile to a JavaScript using ES6. Was it ES6? Anyway, there was something that kept happening where it was trying to use imports, some import statement that just wasn't working for using it as a module for JavaScript isolation in Blazor. Yeah, I agree with you, Yoshi Boy. Okay, why? Oh, why? Oh, why? On refresh, the value is 1990. When I change the value here, it changes the underlying object's value. Even though the underlying object's value should match the dot original in my edit model. And I wish Nick the first one was here. Because this seems like an issue that's happening with the comparison tracker. So I'm modifying .current with this field, which should be modifying the clone of the object, but it looks like it is modifying the object itself. Either that, no, yeah. I was going to say either that or it is modifying the current value and then committing it. Absolutely, I will allow it because it looks like you need my permission to go get your drink. You do what you do. You don't need my permission for any of it. I do have to learn this thing called web design because I suck at it. I started in okay. He told me to drink water. I started really enjoying it. There was a stretch of 2 weeks when I was only working in Figma for my actual day job, as well as for this project. And I started getting a little bit better at it. And because I was getting better at it, I started enjoying it. As far as creating things, I'm still not great at design, but I'm learning more and more and kind of finding that it's kind of fun. Kinda. Still not the thing that I want to do with my time. I would still rather write code all day long, but if I got paid to do this, I might be able to make myself enjoy it more. Okay. So we've narrowed it down though. When I modify the value here, it's modifying dot current. Is it modifying dot current? Is that what my issue is? Am I not binding to the correct? No, I am. Son of a. Model dot skip calc. Where is total gallons? Wait a minute. Yeah, model.current.total gallons. Yeah, no matter how I look at this, I am modifying model.current.total gallons. Please don't, no, not me, I'm not tasty. It's a lion. How did I allow a lion to sneak up on me like this? I'm so dead. You know, that joke, one of the many, many thousands of jokes that played on BitGamey's stream when you guys spammed it, I turned my audio back on for, I think it was the last joke. And it made me so sad. I'm like, why did I put my headphones back on for this joke? I got sad. The joke was, I have the heart of a lion and have a lifetime ban from the San Francisco Zoo. And I died inside. I even cried a little. And Thindle just laughs. I think that was funny. The funniest one from that series that I listened to, there were probably other ones that were funny, was the. I'm going to rephrase it because it works better for me this way. So I found this website called conjunctivitis.com. It's a site for sore eyes. And I thought that was hilarious. I even now I can't not laugh. It's really funny. Should I go learn Rust myself? I don't know. I've never tried Rust. Learn Metal instead. So I've never tried Rust, so I can't give you an opinion on whether Rust is a good language to learn. I also don't know where Rust is used, where in the industry it's used. I know that most of the JavaScript frameworks you're pretty safe to learn because it is used widely in many, many different places. Anything from Netflix, Amazon, company that I work at. Hi, Bob Ross, and a bunch of others. They use it. They use a lot of the JavaScript frameworks. But as far as Rust, I don't know where it's used, and I have no idea what it looks like or whether, yeah. Who would benefit from learning Rust? Like, what type of persona would you need to have to want to program everything in Rust? Because for me, it's utility. I would learn Rust if there were problems that I could solve using Rust in a better way than trying to solve those problems using my current skill set. Someone who doesn't like their gears turning properly. And Bob Arasso says he's out of school for the summer. Rust is for someone who likes stiff back wheels. But yeah, so anyway, now that we have a couple more people, I think I found the problem. I just would like some help figuring out how to solve it. When I edit a record, in this data grid, I pass the model for that row to this component. I create a comparison tracker on it where the current value gets set to a clone of that object, and then the original value, the original reference to the model, is kept in this original property. What I'm printing out down here is the original property, or the original object. This is the underlying, or the dot original from that comparison tracker. This is the underlying object from the data grid. And then this is what happens to that object, to the dot original, after I actually update it. So now I'm updating the value, and you'll see that the original object, the dot original, which should be the same as this, has the same total gallons, but then the underlying object actually got changed, and then the original object is still saying I wasn't changed. But if we change that over to look at current, which is the cloned object, which is where? Client entry base. Yeah, I honestly wouldn't know. Do I save? Are you building? It's building. Refresh. Trying to find a new game to play. Baldur's Gate is free if you have Amazon Prime. Baldur's Gate 2, if you want a throwback. Authorizing. Okay, so if we watch the original value, the current value, which is the cloned object, it didn't really matter. It was just easier to see that number. Okay, then we will see that current's value is 310122 before the change. The underlying object's value is 310122. And then after the render stuff happens, it's also that number. I change the value. And now current got updated, and the underlying value got updated, and current is still updated. So it seems like the comparison tracker class is holding a reference to my actual what is this called? The underlying object for the data grid, which is why when I hit cancel, we'll see that value update here, even though it didn't actually update in the database or anything. I don't have Prime, unfortunately. Epic Games has free games today. I don't know what they are. They weren't anything worth noticing for me. They weren't very memorable. GOG had a few free games. If you don't care whether they're free or not. Neo is kind of fun if you haven't played it yet. It is a hack and slash game. I started playing Atlantis 2 with my wife last weekend. If you're into retro adventure games, just don't get the Steam version. The Steam version is a bad port from the mobile version, and the puzzles are broken. Oh, and then we played a little bit of The Longest Journey as well. Oh, such good games. Such good games. So if you're into adventure games, that's what those are. Okay, so how did the reset part look again? So when you click cancel, it does reset. We haven't even gotten to this point yet, and it has already updated the value for the underlying model. And so my assumption is in Nick's library that reset just okay, yeah, so I'm not passing in a parameter, so it is not going to current. So I am changing current back to original. Call of Duty Black Ops 3 is still going for 45 bucks. Good grief. Call of Duty Ghost is 40 bucks still. Or not still. Almost 10 years old as well. Goodness griefus, man. But yeah, this looks like it should work. So current is going to be a clone of the original underlying object. So where's the constructor? Hey, constructor. Here's my constructor with just the current value, which calls this dot current value with the default settings, which calls this constructor with current value and then iObject analyzer, where current value equals the passed in object. Hello, Napalm. Better late than never. Better never than never. What? So, here's my mistake. Thank you for asking, Dukasoft. This is the type of stuff that I thrive on. Asking a question and then just running with it. Going some direction that I wouldn't have if you didn't ask a question. So anyway, we see here that whatever object I'm passing in is the one that's going to get set to current, which is why if I change the value of current, the underlying original object, or the underlying object will get changed. So where does current get set to the passed in object clone? Aha, here. So when we set current here, we go to this property and underscore current equals the passed in value. If not is original set, where does is original set get set? I'm starting to think that I just want to write my own change tracker. So by default, is original set is false. So when we are setting current, we're cloning to original, and original is the thing that gets the clone, not current. That does not make sense. Original should be the underlying object that I pass in, and current should be the clone of that. I can buy Call of Duty Black Ops 3 off a secondhand online store for 10 bucks, but I want to play the new Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Too many choices. Yeah, if I knew first person shooter, then I would recommend first person shooters to you. But I don't. I know adventure games, RPGs, maybe a few Metroidvania style games, um, adventure games, puzzle games. Like one that I actually found pretty fun but repetitive, and the story wasn't great, but it was still fun, was called. I can't even think of the name of the game right now. But it was one where you play as a scientist and you have a gravity gloves and you live on an alien planet doing research there using this technology. But anyway, Napalm says I've been messing with Docker Compose integration in Visual Studio. Pretty cool, I must say. It did make me more productive. No, not Half-Life 2, although that does do that. It's an indie game and it's on Epic Games and it has a name that's kind of hard to remember. I'll try opening it, or at least opening Epic. Once I see it, I'm gonna be like, oh, duh. So, bit gamey. Bit gamey. Bit game me. Hi. Great stream earlier. It felt like it just ended suddenly. I was lurking while I was streaming, debating building a multi-tenant platform for small businesses that I can charge monthly for and take economy of scale advantages for as far as infrastructure. Bit baby, says Dukesoft. Thanks, yes, I achieved what I wanted, so I dipped. Yeah, I'm not going to achieve what I wanted and I'll still have to dip, but we still have 40 minutes, so not bad. Not bad. Felt like a lot more time has passed, but we found the issue. We found the issue. And the issue is that when I create a new comparison tracker by passing in an object, that I am setting that object to dot current when I was assuming it was setting it to original. And then dot current is getting cloned to original and not the other way around. Hopefully, that means that we can still fix this by being bass-backwards. At least what I would say is bass-backwards. And that is to, in all of our edit forms, instead of using dot current, we use dot original. And this doesn't make sense because this seems like we should be modifying the underlying object, but here we would be modifying the clone. Why? Why? The name of game is, I'll know it by the cover. Not when there are this many. So many free games from Epic. So many free games. Lawn mowing simulator. Yes, I want to recommend to you Lawn Mowing Simulator. Relicta. Relicta. Go to store page. Wow, it's 20 bucks. And I got it for free. So essentially you have these cubes that are kind of like companion cubes, and then you're using red and blue to have gravitational pull or push, and then essentially opposites attract, like things repel. So anyway, fun. It was fun. Mediocre story. Can I even call it mediocre? It was fun. Anyone think that? Oh wait. Oh my gosh, I totally missed it because I was looking at this. You gained a rubber duck level. Are you going to be at Captain Commerce's stream this Friday, where he will be doing a rubber ducky giveaway? At least I think that's what he said on Discord. You did shout out Bit Gamey. Let's shout out Captain Commerce. So he came in earlier. He said hello. He will be doing a stream this Friday, and if I recall, because he has gotten enough followers, he is going to do a rubber ducky giveaway. I will verify. He says to us, thanks for a wonderful stream, everyone. Lots of new followers to bring me over the goal. So starting next stream, hopefully on Friday, till the end of my stream on Monday, I'll be doing a desk ducky giveaway. Stay tuned. So yeah, definitely feel free to check him out. Here is a proper shout out for him. I'm sure we have a great clip coming up, and then I'll read all of the chats.
To do more routes. Here's how I'm going to start doing all of my to-dos from now on. I'm going to do to-do. Hey, Peter Man.
Peter Man.
Are there more routes to add?
Yes.
You guys don't know live coding.
We do. We all know live coding. Fantastic member of our community. So double meaning with that one. If you guys don't know, you're missing out. Okay. So let me hop up here to where I left off, which is Big Gamey saying, well, hello there. And then Napalm saying, I'm debating building a multi-tenant platform for small business that I can charge. And then, oh yeah, it was the rubber ducky comment. And then Napalm saying, I got approached by a lot of small businesses wanting websites, but they get overwhelmed with the details. So I say, here are these packages. What do you want? It costs this per month. You could also just set up a Wix page for them. And then charge them for doing the work to set up Wix. Some people are happy. Oh wait, it started raining for the first time in like 2 months. Some people are happy. I'm sad. Why are you sad? Because I like warm. Big Amy says, I wish we had rain. We had rain for like 2 weeks straight before we went on our trip to Mexico. It was so nice. Oh my goodness. Like every day, more than 5 minutes of rain at a time too. And it wasn't always hail. So the Napalm thing says, anyone think that's a stupid idea? I have mixed feelings. I know WordPress and Wix, etc. are out there, but they don't. Yeah, so that's funny. I did recommend that, but you already know about it. And then Big Amy says, the problem is that as with most things, creating websites is getting easier, which sucks for website designers. However, I can agree with you, but I also think that just like any other art form, we can't diversify the market if there isn't a human touch. Yet. So I'm not saying that it's not going to be possible or that we don't currently have the technology to do it, but right now we don't have any applications that are diverse enough. They generate the same kind of cookie cutter template. Whereas if you get someone to create a website for you or you create your own website, you have your own personal touch or that person's personal touch. And even if they use derivative work, it's still got their personal touch to it. And then Napalm says, correct, but we were talking about people who don't know the first thing about web. Yeah, and I was talking about you. So you can still be the one to set up the website and set up the hosting for them. Charge it to your account and then charge them more for maintaining it. And you still get a net profit. Yeah, and there is money to be made here, I feel like. And those folks aren't going to look for alternatives. True. And then Big Amy responded, it's frustrating that you can't pitch to everyone, though. You can. It's called advertising. Oh my goodness, advertising. No thanks. The Napalm says, sure, but on DigitalOcean, I can run a small cluster that pays for itself within a few. Just a few. Also, I live in a small town. You wouldn't believe the word of mouth effect. I do believe the word of mouth effect. We all know Bob Ross. I need to create a website, updatebitgaming.com, but I don't want a monthly cost. I also need to decide how I want it to look. Most templates are boring. Truth. I need to create the website for Automated Realms, and I'm going to do that on my own. I'm going to host it on AWS. I already have the domain, so may as well host it on AWS. Or I bought the domain with the certificates and everything. These certificates for wife. If you can get word of mouth referrals, that's great. It's so very dry and hot right now. We have excessive heat warning. Black. I have no idea what temperature is like for us. The answer is phone. What does it feel like outside right now? 76 degrees Fahrenheit. That's pretty close to 20 degrees Celsius for those of you in European or non US countries. Uh, yeah, we all know Bob Ross. Sure, we do. Absolutely. It's nice to have a rainy, sunny day. A rainy, sunny day. When I lived in Missouri, that happened all the time where it would be raining but super duper bright and sunny. Next thing is small companies are most often penny pinchers. I run a small company. I speak from experience. I wouldn't mind if my site generated revenue, says BitGamey, as an e-commerce. Then sure, I would pay a monthly cost, but it will mostly be a reference site and link to all my stuffs. Absolutely. Agreed. So it's more of a portfolio site than it is a product site. Then Thindo said, I'm not saying that I'm not charging my customers $1,800 a year for hosting and paying $200 myself. You aren't? Is it more? And then Napalm is like to Thindle, yeah, that's what I'm talking about doing. But I'm not saying that either. But I'm not saying that either. Sorry. There's another issue. They don't want to keep things up to date. Okay, fine. I'll keep the multi-tenant platform up to date for them. Absolutely. And it's baked into monthly charges. 24.44 Celsius is 76 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, that's crazy because it gets stupid hot here. But this summer has been quite mild. I'm not complaining. But then again, I'm inside most of the time. Yesterday, though, oh my goodness, I have a Nest, so and I've opted into the eco rush hour stuff, so it helps me save on energy costs. And that's fine because we have a basement, and the basement stays really nice and cool. But inside, yesterday, when I went to go cook, it was 78 inside. the house. When normally we're at 71 to 73. It was so bleh. And then I allowed this, but I got in a pretty just bleh mood yesterday because of the heat. Like I had a meeting that was scheduled for 3:30 when that's the latest time that's like I'm off work, off duty clock at 3:30. I'm going to vacation on the sun to cool. Ew, you're gonna vacation in the sun to cool down. We went to Mexico, and by the way, that's one of the places I think Irish John may have gone, just because he keeps talking about mosquitoes and getting eaten by everything. I don't know for sure. We did not fix the issue yet. We're getting close though. Um, but I was in Mexico and like we were at a resort and in the room there was so much humidity. It was like at least 60 to 70% humidity in the room with the air conditioner running, which was great for us because it's so dry here. So we got to experience humidity. But at the same time, it was so icky feeling. And like one of my chargers, the USB C cable, when I plugged it into my phone did the loud noise and said, check your power port. It may have gotten water in it. And that was just from the cable sitting in the room while the air conditioner was going and all of the humidity was around. And that cable is no longer usable. And I thought that my phone was just like gone and dead because it didn't charge for the night. But thankfully, it was just the cable. I was so scared. Um, but then yeah, everything else just had this layer of moistness to it. But we did get to spend some time on the beach, just hanging out, watching the waves, having the nice breeze flow over us in the shade. Spent some time at the pool in the early morning. Oh, it was so good. I do recommend that. Layer of moistness sounds like an indie band. Um, Tyndall said, Umberto, wow, you said my name really, really well just then. That was that was really nice. Inflection and everything. You rolled the R a little bit. That was impressive, Tyndall. Kudos. Anyway, when you're feeling really bleh, just remember I appreciate you and you're an awesome human. And then Dukasoft did the know you, which I don't has. It's over 9,000 or something in the adult section. Tyndall says, I know Mexican really well. I'm Puerto Rican though. Actually, I'm American, but my parents were both born and raised in Puerto Rico. Well, close enough. Shots fired. I don't care. I don't have any grudges. I was about to make an appropriate joke about your comment, Thindle, but that's okay. Umberto is actually an Italian name made Spanish by putting the H in front of it. And it's actually originally Latin. Pretty much any name that has the Bert, Bert, in it, right, is of Latin origin. Albert, Humbert, Robert. Or so it seemed like when I looked up my name and its meaning and origin. Another solution, Napalm says, I do what I say using Octane or something, some other CMS. Bleh, CMSs though. I've heard that it's pretty difficult to customize a CMS. So if you want to talk about template and cookie cutter and non-original websites, then yeah, go with CMS. Kindle said, so kinda ish if you really want it to be, and you kind of stretch plausibility a bit. I don't know what that one was in reference to, but I made myself bleed a lot. That's where I haven't kicked the tires there, but I have an inside line with Sean Walker. Dropping names. I have no idea who Sean Walker is, by the way, um, on that project. Sounds like a maintainer for Octane. And then Thindle says Umbraco comes without anything. You have to define your documents and beyond anything you've ever seen. Customizable. Wait, I totally missed a sentence. Okay, you have to define your documents and then attach renderers to the documents. It's very customizable, like beyond anything that you've ever seen customizable. Debatable. I'm on the .NET Foundation Projects Committee. He leads the committee. Awesome. Cool. Okay, so I've cut a bunch out a little bit. I'm going to try to do this last little bit of this to see if it works the way that I'm expecting it to work. And the last thing that I should have to do is when I patch on save, handle confirm clicked. If the model does not have changes, then just return. Don't do anything. Oh man, I'm bleeding a lot for picking at a small pimple on my elbow, close to my weenus. You guys almost saw me picking at my weenus while I was on camera. That's something Irish John would do, not me, not this channel. The thing that we need to specify in patch, patch won't do it. Yeah, this is so backwards. It did not, I am sure that it did not used to be like this. This has to be one of his current changes. But let me explain the thing one more time to see if maybe I can think of a better approach, or if any of you do have anything. I'm always asking for your thoughts. The comparison tracker is a library by Nick Polidoropoulos. Polidoropoulos. Nick, the first one, who you may have seen around on various channels, dropping names. And so, what this thing does is you create a new comparison tracker of one of your objects, and you either pass in a clone function or you have implemented iClonable on that object. And when you make changes to the object, then you only make changes to a clone of the object, and you're able to track those changes and then patch, which is the commit changes. I'm trying to spell Ed Charbonneau's name. Charbonneau, nice is not nice. But what I'm seeing it's doing is when you pass in an object to it, it's setting the thing that you can modify to track changes as a reference to the object that you're passing in. This should be original, not current. Because when you patch, and you do an analyze where you compare original and current, you check to see if it's already patched, and if it isn't, then you do current analysis.patch, which is implemented where? No idea, because I can't control F12 on that. And then you put it in your history. But regardless of what we are doing, current is always going to be either the reference to the existing object, or if you do a reset, a clone of the current object. Never will original be a reference to the underlying object, which is so weird. So there is no way for you to use current to update the underlying object using patch. Instead, when you update current, you're updating the underlying object. And for us, that means we see this behavior where I have my edit object that has the comparison tracker on it, and the change that I make to current gets pushed to the underlying data object. So the answer is I need to go back to using my own comparison tracker. So the way that I have done it before is for an object, which now that I know how to do source generators, I could just as easily create one for each of these by using an attribute. But we will finish the source generator, Thindle, promise, that we started. But the way that I normally do change tracking is I will have the original object, and then I will have a private same object. In this case, let's say plant flow data service, because I don't know where the model is. Original. And then original will be the clone of the current object. And then whenever I need to revert, then I push original back. But wait, that does make sense. Kendall says, how does one get to be on a foundation? Anything. Napalm said, for me, Layla helped when she was on the board. And then Thindle says, if I hadn't known Jern, I would have gone there. Gone where? The Venus comment? I miss Layla on Discord. She's a lot harder to get a hold of now. On Twitch too, since she's only doing YouTubes. Actually, I'm not even like subscribed to her on the YouTubes, so I don't know if she still streams. Like trying to spell Ed Sheeran. I miss his name. I think she's pretty darn stressed with work at the moment. I would assume so, not knowing what's going on with Broadcom, etc. Napalm said, I would say so about her being stressed. Hey, I get it. My career has certainly taken a weird detour. And then Thindle said, in mine, I lost a contract for the first time in ever. Like, not lately, ever, ever, ever. And in a why, I have an excuse, but that's still just that, an excuse. Feels bad, man. Did you understand what the heck I was talking about in the end? No, never. Napalm said, I left for money. It didn't work out at first option due to lies. Second option is better, but I am not doing much custom dev. I'm terrible low code. I'm using a terrible low code tool. Honestly, use the tools that you like. So if you feel bad about using a low code tool because you want to do more hands-on programming, I mean, that's fine to feel bad about, but just because, like, the common perception of low code, no code from developers is it's a cheap way out. But for me, it's just I don't want to use those tools because that takes away me doing the things that I love doing, which is custom code solutions. But they are great tools if they're implemented right. Because says I love sauce generators. I've got one in my kitchen. I am the one in my kitchen that's a sauce generator. Hence where the project idea keeps skills fresh. Raw text razor engine. Oh yeah, yeah. This was your idea from what you sent me. Yeah, I'm sure that there would be some cool way to do that. But that does that actually work to give you the raw HTML from a Razor component? Because if so, that's the code snippet I've been looking for a while, but not actively looking for. Just cool that you decided to show it. I'm going to paste it down here. Okay. I mean, so like, I guess the thing that I was wondering is, does that raw text give you the rendered content from a Blazor component? Like if I had a Blazor component here and I put that as my T view model, no, as my, I don't know which of those parameters it would be, that it would spit out the code from this. Um, so total tangent, you know. Oh yeah. No, you're absolutely okay. Anyone have experience with a self-hosted API gateway option? I don't know what an API gateway is. So I don't, but Napalm would like to know if anyone has experience with a self-hosted API gateway. I've heard of the term YARP, but I don't know what that is either. But yeah, I think I know what the answer that I'm going to go with for this is, and it is that I am going to implement my own change tracker. And there's two ways that I could approach it. The one that I said at first, which was to have the original carried with the DTL, the original property. The alternative is to have an overload or an extension for each of my DTOs that, or not, a generic extension that I can pass in and just say for all writable objects, when I say patch, then you map one to the other. You populate those writable values from current object to original object. And then my original object would be a clone. So in my plant data entry base, the first thing that I would do is, instead of model equaling edit model, because edit model will no longer be a comparison tracker, it will just be the object itself. And this would be edit model.clone, because edit model at this point would implement iClonable, and I'll put a constraint for that, which I'll show you now actually. I would put it here, iClonable. Oh, right, and then we have to cast it to T plant data. And then there is no dot current, so I'd have to fix that, but that's fine. Actually, that's the only line that needs it. So then model will be the cloned edit model, and then down here on confirm, I will do a model dot patch, or no, sorry, the passed in edit model dot patch, and then model. So on confirm clicked after validating, edit model dot patch, pass in current model. And then this would be the extension method that I have that essentially uses reflection to map, or I could use AutoMapper. I could use some existing library. Since this one, I'm not going to use it all over the place. It's just going to be for mapping the same type to the same type. So I can't do just a clone of model because I need to affect the underlying object. the referenced object here. So that's why I would do a dot patch. So that's the approach I'll most likely take. Okay. So I should be back to where I was. So basically a reverse proxy that allows you to do load management, BFF pattern, etc. And then again, I would need to know what a reverse proxy is too. So yeah, I'm not familiar with all of the technologies used for hosting, for the actual infrastructure part of it. YARP is great if you want to do it yourself. I was thinking of something I could just use so I didn't have to own/build it. There's probably something available on Azure like Front Door. Front Door at first blush looks like a CDN. I know what CDNs are. I'm leaning towards something I don't have to pay for. I will update it, host it instead of managed service bleeding my revenue. Keep talking about it, but here's a stupid idea. It's not a stupid idea. If you're going to call it a stupid idea, I'm not going to look at it because I don't want to look at stupid ideas. Anyway, jumping in and out, Bald Bearded Builder is having his community day today. Stealing your idea. Sue for damages. No. No, if he is doing it because I influenced it, even better. If he's doing it because he thought of it himself, amazing. Front door, we use that at work. On your ideas with confidence, bud. Yeah, if you want me to even want to consider looking at something that you're telling me, you gotta believe in it too, because otherwise, bleh, I'm not gonna waste my time looking at something you don't believe in. Okay, so the idea is you have a, so what kind of file is this? This is your .razor file or .cs? Because this is essentially what you would write for a code generator. You would just create a string template. Typically, what I use are a whole bunch. Typically, I created two generators now, but a const string template with pluggable, so you can do string.format on them when it's generating the thing. But yeah, the thing about code generators is that they run at compile time, not at runtime. And so this to me looks like you're wanting to do a thing for compile time running. Or sorry, runtime. So it runs whenever an output set text. Yeah, so essentially you're moving from what I would have as a const string inside of my generator into separate files that produce the string in whatever thing you want. So yeah. Yeah, it's just separating them into files, which is a good idea. It makes it easier to keep track of, makes it easier to update your templated parts instead of having it all in one file. I'm a fan. I like it. Okay, what did I miss? Live coding is still talking. He said I'm coming in and out. And then he keeps talking, which is awesome. It's just, yeah, anyway. I was looking at something like Kong, Apogee, etc. Fendel said, I try, but I don't know this. I'm doing best effort. Reverse proxy. My site API 1 gets routed to internal server local. My site API 2 gets routed to internal server 2.local port blah. Okay, so it's essentially the edge. Um, so what I use in AWS is Route 53. So then that's one thing that I get to say when a request comes in at to this URL, then send it to this IP address or this machine or this other AWS resource. And then also I have a load balancer that says when you receive a request, process it, run some rules on it, and based on those rules, send it to the appropriate endpoint, internal endpoint. So that's reverse proxy. Whereas a regular proxy would be I'm sending a message out, and as I'm sending it out, send it out through this other proxy to the internet, and then it comes back into you, and then you give it to me. I think I understand it. Um, yeah, I think that was the last thing that I'm going to do with this. Napalm said, like I said, YARP is great, but damn, I got too much code to write already. Live Coding said to Napalm, my boss wants to use YARP, and I keep trying to steer him to industry standard reverse proxies like Nginx or HAP proxy. I don't know that one, or whatever. Yeah, don't use YARP unless you need full 100% control. Then Napalm said, good. Then just say your mileage may vary. That's what I do. Can also deal with auth and such. This is Stendhal saying this. So it can check access and then just send you on. And Napalm says, so here's the thing, I'd use Nginx, but API gateways in enterprise, rat bastards. I don't know whether to take that as a compliment. Live Coding said, we agree then. Yes. Kindle said, it just runs whenever and outputs that text. Okay, same as any other code you have in SourceGen. We talked about that. And it's way easier to read. You can understand it. Zelda can understand it, sorry. In other news, if I do this project, I am strongly considering streaming. Yes, please do, and let us know if you do on it if I don't massively get made fun of. Oh, image types. Oh my gosh. Getting made fun of is so bad. That could also be an attachment type thing. But anyway, I Google ChatGPT a lot. Me too. And then I should probably know, but for stuff I should probably know, but never commit it to memory. I don't commit stuff to memory. I commit the pattern of the thing. So do I know how to look this up? This goes in the same bag as looking up these other 20 related things. I don't need to keep the actual information in my head when we have the internet at our fingertips. Kind of frees up your brain for other things you do care about, in my opinion. Life Coding says to Napalm, you can justify Nginx in the enterprise, but if you work in an enterprise, other people will already use a reverse proxy for other things. Use whatever they use within reason, question mark. Thindle says, yep, the edge. Okay, cool. So I think I understand API gateways then if they are reverse proxies, if they are synonymous with reverse proxies, or if they are a type of reverse proxy or whatever. Napalm says, this is for personal stuff on a budget. I ain't paying for enterprise license. And then Thindle said, normally a router will route your outgoing calls. YARP routes your incoming calls. Cool. Yet another reverse proxy. Now I remember. Maybe. Maybe that's what YARP stands for. Napalm, or Life Coding says to Napalm, okay, then you are the boss. No one can tell you anything. How about this? Napalm still in preview, but, and then a link for Nginx AAS. I don't know what AAS is for. And Napalm says, damn straight, Live Coding. Thindle said, no, wait, it's GA. Never mind. Not in preview, which is good. But yeah, stream, I'll be there and kick anyone who can't behave on the shins. I can behave on my shins. Oh, so yeah, it is as a service. Nginx as a service. Everything as a service. Everything has an Oz. Drinking water as a service. You can't kick yourself, Thindle. Actually, you can. More? I just drink. At this rate, I'm not going to be able to make it to the end of the stream with how potent this water is. Oh. Mhm. Mhm. Oh, yeah, that's some water. High quality H2O. Wait, more? What do you know? I have another full bottle. Oh, tasty. Oh, tasty. No, I really do love drinking water, though. It does make me have to urinate a lot. I can't believe he said that. Okay, so anyway, I think I have the approach that I need to take for this. I won't do it until tonight. Crap. I really, really, really did not want to have to implement my own. I thought that I could just keep using Comparison Tracker because I've used it before and it works a charm. But suddenly, it looks like it's doing the opposite of what it should, where current is a reference to the underlying object. Oh, there was another water. Ooh, I got to sneeze. Usually it's two sneezes. I'm missing a. I have no idea where the sneeze went. Disappear. Oh, found it. Oh. Okay, we're gonna end here for today because I am gonna get back to work and finish off the last few things for our release. I got some feedback on creating exception records, pushing exception records to telemetry. So I'm going to finish implementing that and then do my PR. And that should be it for this release, I hope. But yeah, that's going to be everything for me for today. I hope you guys had a fun time. Feel free to hop into our Discord if you have any further discussions you want, like Napalm, if you want to continue asking for more input about whether it's a good idea or you just want to bounce some ideas off of other people that have more experience than me. But I think you got some good feedback from Live Coding and Findle. Oh, I am going to rate someone that I have not rated in a really long time because they usually aren't streaming by the time I have finished my stream. Ba-ba-da-bum. Ladies and gentlemen, Irish John Gibbs. I will be posting this video to the YouTubes no sooner than 24 hours after I officially end the stream. It's usually been at 22:45, 12:45 the next day after the stream. GMT, just regular mountain time, not greater meridian. Thank you again to everyone who stopped in, who gave some ideas, some thoughts, some opinions. Really appreciate you being here. I hope to see you again on the Friday day where we will have our community day and open up the floor for any discussions that you might have. Will focus on you, our community. So until then, enjoy the rest of your time. I'm always looking at chat when I'm talking to you when I should be looking at the camera when I'm signing off, but whatever. That's what I'm doing. Ciao for now. See you on the next time. Shoopadoop. Boop boop. Boopy doop. Oh. Oh. Wait. I like how it moved everything around.
Outro music. I don't know how to do outro music. Ba ba da ba bum bum bum. I don't know how to do outro music, so I'm making my own. Da 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 da. Bum bum.